Shalom, shalom, Yasharal, shalom, shalom, Ashbaka, shalom, shalom. Trust everybody's had an awesome Shabbat, Yom Taruah. Forgive me, my voice is a little gone, coming back rough from blowing the shofar, boop, 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 boop. And so, I'm just getting my voice back. But nonetheless, I wanted to say that, something that's been on my mind, you know, um, it's been on my mind for a minute, for the past months now, off and on. When I always talked about, there's some other things that happened that I don't want to speak on. They're a little dark. Um, yeah, I think this is that video. I'm actually gonna probably do like a screen recording thing, because if you remember back from my old account, I had done a video about or pictures in my old account. I have some pictures there of of Sakut, last year's Sakut, and I did it in front of a library. Me and somebody I was running with at the time, and you know, it was fine for a few days, a week or so, or 5 days or so, and then they told us to move it off the property, so I put it on the sidewalk, and then we went to get some food, and they came back, and someone had thrown our saka in the garbage, and so I was trying to be kind of use positive reinforcement, like I'm not gonna let that ruin the Sakut celebration. So I just tore down some branches and started building another one on the sidewalk, and that's public property. And unfortunately, turns out that they had a problem with that. They called the cops and said that that was vandalism because I broke down a branch from the library that was on public property, not even from the library, from the public property that was already hanging, that came off as soon as I pulled it. So I'm like, that thing was ready to go. And yeah, nonetheless, I'm here in my in the closet, but it's where I kind of get my alone time and read or just get some alone time. It's getting a little hot. I don't know. Feels nice and cool out here. So yeah. But anyways, nonetheless, yeah, it's more quiet in there, but I'm staying there. What I did want to go over is let's see, where do I start? Thank you, Yahuwah, Yahusha, for this most awesome Yom that you have made. And for those of you who go by the 10 days of awe, you know, Chag Sameach, or joyful, or should I say, enjoy your, or it's not a joyful thing, but have a most productive second Yom of all, the 10 days of all, the counting of the 10 days to Yom HaKaparim, the day of covering, to being covered. So even with the 10 days of all, go hand in hand with the seven trumpets of Revelation, because like judgment, pandemic. So it's like enter into the secret place, the enter in. And so it's kind of what we're doing. And the secret place, the prayer, the petition, the Palau closet. And so it's like judgments of the seven trumpets, and you're inside, reflecting, you're inside, keeping yourself white, unstained from the world, making your garments white. Nonetheless, and don't take things literal, you just want to find a reason, but love is going to find a way, benefit of the doubt kind of thing. I like to sit on this side, better background and more airflow from under the door. I can feel coming. So, nonetheless, what I wanted to really talk about was how, yeah, Day of Atonement's coming up, and I was talking about how last year, we kept the Feast of Tabernacles at this park or in front of the library, and they took it down. And if you go back at the pictures from the old account, you'll see that we had this little baby stuffed animal, stuffed animal. Forget me, stuffed. It was like a little, what do you call it? Like a doll. It was a baby doll. There. Sorry, my choice of words sometimes with the little things. It's the little things, the basic things. So this little baby doll I found right before, I think like on the day of Sukkot or before the day or something like Sukkot, and I got it. We found it in the alley where we get our provisions, our resource alley in Pacific Beach and PB, and so it was just sitting there like someone left it, like donated it, and I was like, hey, dog, like I finally have a child again, like another child, like another baby, because we joke around about, you know, what I was talking about in those days was like the inheritance and like replenishing the earth, and like I would even talk about how Sakut, the millennial year reign, is gonna be a fulfillment. That's what it's gonna be about too. Like the 1,000 year period is sort of like the Naboatic picture you see of Malk Shalama, Sovereign Shalama with his 1,000 wives. And so you always put numbers together like seven trumpets in Yahusha, seven trumpets in Revelation Chazon. You have 1,000 year or thousand, yeah, 1,000 years of rest. Still the only number you see thousand in that's related to rest. Shalama's name means rest. I mean, you already get a connection. They're like, oh, Shalama means rest. Okay, it has something to do with the millennial year reign. And when I was just trying to search that out, like his reign was a reign of rest. It was like he was not brought to the 1,000 years. And what did he do? He was just fruitful and multiplied. He had 1,000 wives, and I thought, oh, 1,000 wives, 1,000 year millennial year reign. That might be something to consider. That might be what it's gonna be all about. Replenishing the earth. Seven women cling to one man. Yashayahu. Um, for and I didn't mean to go this way with it so much, but I was gonna say a different witness, but the word's gonna do its thing too, Yahuwah. And so I really feel like a big concept thing to adopt and for Feast of Tabernacles is not just like Yahushua's return. Yeah, like he's the even that's waiting. That's matrimony. That's waiting. That's Yahuwah's the bridegroom. We're the bride, and he's the bridegroom. And so that's a wedding feast, right? It's called a wedding feast, but it's gonna ripple effect. It's gonna be all in one. Like, he says, "I'm gonna let you sit in my throne the same way my father let me sit at his throne." And then he also says in Revelation 2 at the end, I'm gonna let you. I'll give you to rule with the rod of iron, and to dash the nations into pieces like potter's vessels. My father's, my Abba Yahuwah, has given Yahusha to rule with the outer rod of iron and to dash the nations like a potter's vessel. So we all get to share in those things. And then he's the bridegroom, we're the bride. So it's only logical, like, oh, we're gonna be the bridegroom, and we're also gonna have a bride. We're also gonna have a bride company. We're his bride company in the Ruach, but it manifests through us um, to have actually the bride company that manifests. And in a sense, I know it seems a little hard of parts pill to swallow, but it's like Yahusha's gonna dwell in us. And so like all our wives, all the women will get to experience Yahusha more on a more intimate level through us, ironically. And we've seen that through like some of the witnesses, the evidences, like where he projects through my one of my glitches. And again, I like to explain that glitch. It was like my phone was down for like a few seconds. It wasn't like that. Like it didn't happen live like that. It was like my camera just saw sunset, buffering, reconnecting, and I was like, "Hello, hello." And what I just got done saying too, because that was important too, I said, you got to loosen the Shamaim on earth. You got to focus on the Shamaim and bring it down. Like you got to focus on the Shamaim above to loosen it, to bring it down and loosen it. So put your mind as the Shamaim, focus on the Shamaim, and Yahusha like will shall manifest through you. Like just it brings that realm down and to manifest it by putting your mind above, focus your mind on Shamaim, and it'll something like that. If you get what I'm trying to say, And then that's when it glitched, and I was like, hello, hello, and it was just black. My screen was like buffering. And I was like, oh, okay, it looks like we're cool. And then that's what was captured, like Yahusha coming through in that moment, and it just made like that second. So I know it's like, I know it was ordained. I know it was by Yahuwah, Yahusha. We're seeing all these crazy videos with demons coming out of people, like seeing them manifest through their eyes, like all the celebrities. So why wouldn't Yahusha level the playing field and start showing his elect ones and manifesting through them some kind of way like that, on a supernatural level? And I feel like if he's not doing that with this Kodashim or certain people in some kind of way, it's starting to become evident. Maybe just citizens of Yasharal on a middle class level, like on earth as or the least the first will be last, the last will be first, right? So what happens with the people that are in the middle? They kind of flip over to the other side of the spectrum, still somewhat in the middle. So I think just for the most part, gonna be like a lot of middle class citizens of Yasharal. Just like the people say, "Oh, I'll be joyful to get in, skin in my teeth, or just to be the least." You don't want to be the least. You definitely want to strive and do your best, But everybody's different. Everybody has their already you will worked out in them a fixed purpose according to what he knew they would be capable of doing with joy. Because there's things we are capable of doing, but he wants us to do it out of in the right from the right ruach, the right mentality, with joy, not grumbling. He doesn't want us doing it for the prize only, and then to be saved after. He doesn't want us to do it, and we're like grumbling. He wants like that right balance and how much you can handle doing it in the right way. Then he'll give that to you. But if you're like murmuring, complaining, throwing a little tantrum about certain things, he's not gonna accept that offer, and he just rather have you be in the middle and just give you somewhat of like a comfortable life, but while you still get to experience some of the nuances of standing up for him, suffering for him, and living for him in a comfortable way. So it's gonna be kind of like that. But the ones who are gonna get the more higher stuff, um, definitely put in their works, their time, their effort, their works, made the sacrifices and the cuts. So, but nonetheless, let me get to the point because I don't want this to be a long video because it's stuff that's like I wanted to get off my chest too, but just to let you also know more spiritual things that go out there, weird, warfare stuff. How reality is just stranger than fiction. Really, it's all the movies we could think of is real spiritual, cosmic demons walking in and out, falling on our back. We've all perceived some of that, and they're kind of subconsciously starting to manifest and yoke with people, even in the body, if they're not fully giving themselves to Yahuwah Yahusha, everybody's starting to get pulled stronger one way or the other. The idols are starting to really try to make their mark in people to really pull them down and show, yeah, they still have them and have some control. And so your inclinations are more, vain and this and that, then those demons are going to have that hold of you. And you might have to lose your head for it at the end, or I don't know, but now's the time you want to really like make the big cuts, inside instead of like having to go through tribulation for it, and then who knows. But nonetheless, when you walk that path, and for the most part, in a lot of ways, been on that narrow path, and the enemy's trying to pull you down and trying to get you. Sometimes they have to let you in that realm to really try to get you, because you know sometimes we like the cool stuff you see that are out of this world. Everybody's into that, like all the you know um sightings and weird things that are cosmic, and what was that, the bumps and the flashes of light in the sky. And then like so they start to show you those things, but how they're real and how what they're for. And then you get to go on those trips and go and be a part of them, be like go to realms and then like see it projected on Earth, and they try to like get you to sell out for your best kind now in a different way, like giving you, anyways, fantasies or whatever, and it's real. And I've explained these before, so I won't go down there on this video, but nonetheless, Feast of Tabernacles. Here we go. Um, Even like weddings, right? When people do weddings, they do a huppah, right, which is like a picture of Yahusha's tabernacle coming down during the time of tabernacles. So tabernacles has to do about wedding. He lives in us. We're Echad, and we're the we're the bride. He's the bridegroom, and we also get to manifest that expression with the bride company. 7 women cling to 1 man, replenish the earth. And so I felt like he was showing me this, but it's always a double-edged sword because you got to be able to discern at a very fine cellular level how much of that is light, how much of that is gray, and then what's the darkness you really want to stay away from. And these projections, it's like eat the meat, spit the bones reality. It's like eat the meat, spit the bones, coming to high around you, like everything's like that. Like eating the knowledge of right and true, but only choosing the right and not eating the true, being able to handle like just what's right and like bypassing it all, but just to get the glimpse of who was trying to show you. But obviously, we just want to eat from the tree of Chai that is Yahusha. But in the reality sense, in the realm sense, you see these things where it's all basically as a blueprint, wheat and tares growing together, and it's like being able to perceive the wheat and picking from the wheat and not the tares, and you can't uproot it. I'm just not in that revelation now. You can't mess with it. Like I've tried lots of times to separate the two, but you can't. Just gotta perceive the wheat in the mist mixed with the tares and just see what's how it's growing and see what's bringing forth. But it's a glimpse reality of wheat and tares, meat and bones, and all that, clean and unclean, but they grow and project one reality that, well, it's also meat and bones too. You gotta perceive what is ruach and what is the lie. Like Satan telling the lie that, oh, you won't die, you live forever. And so here we go. Feast of Tabernacles last year, 2024. Um, it's like the first second day, and we see go to this place we get our resources, and there's this little doll there. It's like a little male doll looking like a male. I felt like to me it was a bond a male. Like, hey, he's a little Kaban. And I'm like, oh, Feast of Tabernacles. This is a sign. Like I feel like Yahuwah was trying to manifest that. He's letting me see that Feast of Tabernacles. Um, is all it's about. It's when we finally get to replenish the earth. Then we finally get to fulfill those desires and be fruitful again, remultiply worlds without end, even. And because never are there just dolls out there. I mean, we might think it's common because you're homeless and you might see someone weird with dolls, or just not someone weird, but you might see someone that just might have some dolls. They might have a little girl, whatever. You think it's like a common thing. It's just in a big old basket, in a big pile of that. But no, not in this area. There hasn't been dolls. There's not just dolls sitting around like that. And I don't think that was, I never saw any dolls the entire time I was out there, except this time. And I was out there the entire year and some change, and still haven't seen any dolls since. But here's this doll during the Feast of Tabernacles, and I felt like it was from Yahuwah, letting me know, like, yeah, that's what this is all about. So I took the doll, and and I remember telling Yahuwah that I'm gonna start my celibate oath around this time, and I meant to do it in feast of the beginning of Feast of Trumpets, like on the starting from the 7th month. It starts like the eve, the bordering. So I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna, or maybe I'm gonna wait. I mean, I'm already celibate, I'm already single, and I say I'm gonna wait. The reason why I say it like that, interesting, kind of strange things in these realms, these paradigms, is we had just woken up to the fact that oh, the wicked are gonna get the curses that they deserve that were put on us, and so like if they were, because there's a connection between like non-believers, atheists, and they seem to have like this desire for cuckolding is where like they want to give their wife to another man, a foreign man. And I noticed like that's something that atheists would have, and very seldom like I've never met a Christian person that had that weird thing that as like a stumbling block. And I feel like because that's a curse, like, well, if you don't believe in Yah, then you're gonna get the curses, and you're part of the body of the wicked that oppressed my nation, Yasharah, and they ravage their wives or women. So now I'm gonna put that in you and make it easy on them, and you're just gonna like want it. You're just gonna want to give them over, and that was my theory, But that's I was seeing it play out. I told you about the black speech thing when I went, and women were just like, the husbands were like, "Hey, come, enjoy it," But they gave me certain things I couldn't do, and I just didn't like that. They had to tell me like what to do, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do this by your rules. Like this isn't. I'm not gonna bask in it now. This is like cutting it, sell myself short. Like I'm gonna wait to the real thing. So I didn't mess with it. But they're like they had their wives like fully naked, bent over, and the wives were ready for me to ravish, like you know, and it happened twice, 2 Mondays back to back, like they were still trying. And I was like, nah. But this was just before probably Feast of Tabernacles. And I think about it was probably like the month before. This was all amping up because so what we had understood, you can always make spiritual covenants, but you gotta honor them, and they gotta be by the book, how you speak them and how they end, and they gotta be orderly. They gotta be rational. So rational. So they liked my way of thinking because I always kept everything has to be in light of the Torah. Like like everything has to be the Torah is the foundation of it. Everything has to be in light of the Torah. And so in light of the Torah, okay, ravage. We understand the curses are like gonna happen, and I was like, can we take advantage of that now? Is that something we can do now? And then, so maybe those were some of like, if we could, that was maybe the guideline. It was a double-edged sword. But then, in light of you know, um, doing a celibate oath that I wanted to offer up to Yahuwah for 3 years, I was like, well, it has to be by this time because I need 3 years I can offer up to Yahuwah for celibacy. So I said I'm gonna make my cutoff mark, um, in the seventh month, and I might have said like it was gonna be the seventh month, like at trumpets. I can't remember, and maybe who allows it that way. Maybe I messed that up, but all I know is here's this doll during the tabernacle time, and maybe it was an attack from the enemy, but maybe who approved it because it would show me a glimpse. So it's like double-edged sword, but it was just a doll, and I just took it as a sign, like, oh yeah, we're gonna replenish around that time. Cool. And would you know it? I'll just get to the point. Like I think it was like the third or fourth. No, it was the fifth day. That's why I made my Sabbath thing the fifth day. Um, yeah, it was the fifth day of the Feast of Tabernacles, and out of nowhere, never seen. Well, yeah, there's been a couple of these here and there, kind of make an appearance and disappear, but that's what happened with this one. But usually they stay around a little long, like a month or two. Out of nowhere, this white girl, you know, she was lovely to me. She was pretty white. She wasn't bad, and she had a figure. She was nice. She was sweet, and she was a homeless girl that was just coming through. But she was clean, and she wasn't on drugs, and she just vaped, like a little e-cigarette thing, and or whatever it was. I don't know. Keep in touch with that. But she wasn't on meth or nothing. She was like straight, sound mind, smart, and well, yeah, she was just there. One bucker, one more, the rising of the fifth Yom of Tabernacles, and it was actually the guy, the person I was with, that I was running with at that time, that you seen the picture, who actually introduced her to me, because he was like, he went up and talked to her because, we were still, he, I had already told myself like we're not gonna ravish, we're not gonna pursue the ravishing agenda. Like now we're gonna start the 3 year of celibacy process. And if he's watching, he would know this truth. he was still, I guess he got excited by her, moved by it. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're pretty much leaving everything behind. We're in the wilderness, like Sovereign Dawood and the army, and living off the land and off Yahuwah's miracles, His provisions that He provides, and we're sharing the word, and we're just trying to gather nation and but right now, um, we're also ravagers, like because these people reject Yah, we have the right to like ravage them, but we're doing it consensually, we're doing it. How do you say it? Making sure it's consensual, or it's gonna be on like a civil terms, like they have to be in agreement kind of thing, which or that is not necessarily ravaging, but we're still just maybe who will shout out. But our thing was only if someone agrees to that on that terms, then it's considered ravaging. Like, because we wouldn't be doing it in the name of like, yeah, so we want to do something with you because of that. Now it's like, yeah, we're doing this in the name of ravaging, in honor of our nation, to repay back, what was done to our nation. And then, so it's like you have to give him the terms, like, and then he had this conversation. He's like, "So you down to get ravaged?" And she was like, "Yeah." And and he's like, "What? Hold on." And then he came up, "Bro," and I was like, somewhere just by the tabernacle reading or something, just meditating probably or something. And he came up to me. He's like, "Yo, I just met this blonde chick. She's down to get ravaged." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, she's new, like coming through." And I looked, and yeah, I got to know him. Like, "So he talked to you?" Huh? He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "And what ravaging him?" He's like, "Dude, I told her everything. She's down, like, to make the sacrifice for our nation." But then she started talking to me like, "I know you," and like, "You know me?" She's like, "Yeah, like you're." And I think she felt like a familiar ruach about me. She's like, "You're like the same person I've met in different places," and that's important because that's what I'm also going to talk about after that. So I kind of get it, but yeah, she's like, "Yeah, you're like someone special though," and so I think she was trying to pull away from getting me on the Ravage trail, and maybe that's why things weren't didn't go right in Yah's eyes because it switched from the in the name of ravaging, or maybe it flipped in the right way. This is where it gets a little confusing, and now you're thinking like, "What? This is all crazy." I know it seems that way, but it parabolically lines up with scripture, and he was showing us things like when Dawood talks about I have seen and observed your witnesses and guarded your witnesses. He was talking about probably strange things like these that showed proofs, like he got a glimpse, but he kept those to himself. But he got the revelation and kind of just more wrote about them, expounded at the right time from what he saw. But I'm telling you the raw things that my witnesses that I saw that, and I could easily write and be like, "Oh, on that day we shall be fruitful and replenish the earth, on the day of your return, when you reestablish your reign," because I seen the witnesses and this is it. Nonetheless, these are like those extra details in the midst of this, in, scripture stories. But yeah, she was like, "I know you. I see you like not everywhere, but like you're like kind of like the twin fire thing. You're like I met you before and we had something special and then like we had to depart, but then like everywhere I go, like I see you again, like a version of you, kind of like the picking up the conversation we left off thing. And in a strange way, like I felt the same way. Like I was like, yeah, I feel the connection, but I feel like I haven't really had a chance to really meet you like that. But I can feel you, I can feel the chemistry, I guess. But she was like, "Yeah, you're like my husband." So that's where it like flipped the script for me because it went from she was like a ravagey to "You're my husband." I'm like, that's funny because we always talk about like, we're gonna get lands of inheritances and maybe this land, like PB is gonna be part of our inheritance. And she was blonde. It's like at the time we had this agreement how to get the blondes, he'd get all the brunettes. And but blondes is just too much of a isolated category. But anyways, and so that was at the time that kind of broke. That company got broken though. Things just went south after this. Um, but she's like, yeah, I know you. You're like my husband. And other realities, kind of things, speaking similar things. Like she's seen me, and like, yeah, and like spirit husband. I don't know, not like that, but like I don't know. She's just like you're my husband. Like I know you, but I've never had that relationship with her. So I don't know if there's like a piece of me that she mm, familiarized with, but wasn't entirely part of me or who I am. But but I was feeling it. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, I just want to be your wife. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, we were talking about ravaging, like, and this is just like for that. But then she's like, I don't know. I just kind of went with it, like, all right, fine. And I'm like, so you want to be like a wife then? And she's like, yeah. And like, well, part of the inheritance that we talked about was like, in theory, like we found the rock, like what if Yahweh's gonna give us these lands? Like, these are gonna, yeah, I'm gonna have the idea, ideally, like potentially these women here shall be my wives too. All the bronze and PB, and and it was funny because she was like, I'm from PB. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, I was originally born out here or raised out here. But yeah, I'm like, I used to live here, and I just left for a while, and then I came back, and I'm like, oh wow, and like, well, I guess you're part of you fit that bill too, blonde PB, one of the PB chicks, all right, and so we went somewhere to I was kind of like, okay, what's this? What do I do with this? But then he reminded me about the baby doll, and like, oh yeah, the baby doll, and here's the woman, like the, and I said, oh man, and I was talking about finishing my celibate or finishing my ravishing phase and going into the celibate time, and I said, but you know what? This is even more special because you saw I can't even figure out when I even called it celibacy earlier, so that kind of checks out with why, because I forget time frames like that. Like, when did I start that, or when was it? I think I would have forgotten when I started my celibacy. I was like, I'm forgetting anniversaries and my age and stuff. No, certain little things, but not nothing scriptural. So yeah, so we just went, and I'll never forget it because it's Sakut, Day of Yahuwah. 7-day feast, shadows New Jerusalem coming down, replenishing the earth, and it was the fifth day. And so, you know, we just, I'll just tell you straight up, we went to like a bathroom somewhere, like a grocery store or something. And it's like no one cared, like, or no one, it was like we're walking through walls, like everything was like, I don't know, smooth. And, and yeah, we just did what we had to do, did that, and yeah, and then that was it. Came back, and my the person I was with at the time was like, my turn, you know, and that's kind of crazy to think about that we are gonna do that, cause um yeah, just protection and whatnot, Now my mind's a little different about that. I mean, at the time, I don't know. I think we're just a lot of different spirits and inspirations at the time that you just don't see things a certain way. Maybe it's that spirit of war. We're just in the war and like war mentality. But cleanness is like, yeah, I wouldn't do that now. But nonetheless, she was like, no, I don't. She told him, I don't want to do it with you. I'm fine with just him. Like, I'm gonna stick with him. And I was like, I don't know, man. And I guess she wants to just be married. So she's like, "Yeah, I'm your wife," and she's like, "Oh, then that's our baby," because we have a doll there. So So then it was kind of like a cute thing, like kind of like I was seeing the witnesses, like from on like those are natural realm things happening, but my higher intellectual connected with Yahuwah Ruach was like, okay, yo, what are you showing me? Because everything he has always done has always been with the purpose, and if you're able to look, if you're able to see it, so I just stopped, took a step back, and observed because it was too timely, too orchestrated in a way, and Yahuwah did the thing I said, like protect my celibacy, like if you want that from me, because I'm not gonna go out and look for it. I'm just gonna be like the only way I know if it's from you is if these two things, we tell them the terms and conditions that we're doing it for the sake of our nation, for ravaging's sake, and they agree to it, and it just comes easy, like it's just like boom, you know what I mean? Because it's like we shouldn't have to like work hard for it. Should be like get down, get down on your knees, go ahead right now. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. It should be like shouldn't have to be an issue on our terms. And so that one kind of went on my terms. It was like, yeah, what do you want? Like, let's go here, let's go. Like you're cool with that, all right? And so that one was on my terms, and I was like, and just seeing the projection tabernacles multiplying. I think it was showing me how it's gonna be, but he wanted me to live it out. So he kind of gave me a little taste, and I felt like he was telling me, this is the day that I want you to mark your celibacy, because this is the day that you're gonna break it. This is the day that you're gonna fulfill it. Like, so it makes sense because trumpets is like destruction. Because I was trying to start it at trumpets, but I think he's like, nah, tabernacles, because tabernacles is a beautiful time of peace and replenishing the earth, 1,000 years of 1,000 wives, shalama, peace, all that replenishing. So from tabernacles on the fifth yom to tabernacles, maybe maybe in 3 years we should come back at tabernacles and it'll be the real thing. But and I can break it in the right way, break it with some eternal beings, some other ones, or maybe even do the ravishing thing. Maybe just let me know we're just going to be like whatever is left over from the earthlings. We'll get to the earthlings, whatever's left over from those human beings, those earthlings, shall be like concubines, and then also have like uh, eternal sister wives kind of thing. Who knows? And then to the concubines, maybe pass on because the Korashim shall live thousands of years. We're gonna have that high expectancy of thousands of years, and they're gonna still be in their flesh state during the millennial year reign. Um, and then once that's over, then maybe later on, maybe the fifth day is like the fifth year, or like the fifth, like somewhere in the 1,000 year period, like the 500 year, time has passed. Then maybe we'll get the actual sister wives, eternal wives, the Korashim women, and replenish the earth. But maybe at the start it'll be somewhat a ravaging concubine things with the humans, and as it transfers into eternity, and then whoever still down with the word from our seed from there, continues on to live longer and whatnot. Um, Nonetheless, man, I feel like I'm sounding like I'm talking like I'm out of this world, like I'm an alien. But yeah. So nonetheless, I'm from Shamayim, New Jerusalem, New Yerushalayim. So yeah, Yahuwah was awesome. Barak Yahuwah, he used that day, that Yom, the fifth Yom of Tabernacles, to mark celibacy by me engaging in that first and last interaction of ravishing my one and only Ravagey right there, but also like a transferring over as to like a wife dynamic, like because she was the first to Ravagey. So I'm pulling parts. You're pulling parts of the elements. Not identifying it as that one thing, but that one thing can play multiple roles. Like Yahusha is the man, Yahusha is the Kahan, Yahusha is sitting on the throne. It was just all of that. He's the offering, he's the minister, and he's Elohim. And so in that way we play different roles. I was like, you always let me see there's gonna be ravages, but then wives, it's gonna be concubines, but then wives. Nonetheless, that's when it happened. And then ironically, she was gone after that. Not right after that. It was like, um, we're hanging out. We're being. I made time for her, but I was actually just in the Word. I was just spending time with Yahuwah under the Saka reading. But then like, she was kind of outside a little bit. I let her hang out under, but I just said I don't want to be all cuddly right under his Yahuwah's. I mean, we could have. I don't know. I was just being a little weird, but I didn't want to get too touchy feely under the sock of Yahuwah. I felt that was a little bit more for him, like his esteem kind of thing, and us to revere him. But I did excuse myself out of the tabernacle, and we were just off to the side of the tabernacle, kind of laying in the grass, and we get to spend time with each other like that for a while. And but then the lunch came, the lunch time came, the lunch feed, and so I asked her to watch it. I'm like, you watch the tabernacle, and we're gonna go get the lunches. I'll bring you one. Well, I asked her if she wanted to go. Obviously, I'm like, hey, you want to come? There's a lunch, there's a dinner, and she's like, nah, I'll stay here. And I'm like, right on. I bring you back one. And when we came back, our tabernacle was pulled up, and she was there like crying. And I was like, what happened? And she's like, I don't know. Some dudes just like ran up and pulled up your tabernacle and ran off with it, and I tried to tell them to stop. What are they doing? And they're like yelling at me, and I was like, what they look like? She's like, one of the dudes was wearing a dress. I think it was like transgender, and I was like, that makes sense. And yeah, and then some other friend with them, whatever they threw our sucker, like they ran off and they probably threw it in a dumpster somewhere. So I'm like, screw it, we're just gonna make a new one. I pulled it down, branches, started building a new one, and that's when the librarians came in and called it vandalism. And like, what are you talking about? I'm not vandalizing. I'm doing tree work for free. But yeah, I think maybe they had something to do with it. Maybe they put them up to it, or maybe they were just for it. So, cause they they cut me off for a lifetime. They said you're banned from the library forever for pulling down a branch on the sidewalk. Whereas there's people getting in knife fights and breaking car windows, getting caught with drugs and making issues like all the time at the library. And I'm there, I see it and I hear about it, and they just get you know banned for the day or the week. And they're getting in knife fights and breaking each other's cars and all kinds of crazy stuff. And they're like, you can't come back and after a week. I break a branch and it's banned for high because they don't like the word. They were seeing the tabernacle of Yah on the things. Maybe it's like that Kirk thing, they act all peaceful, like, oh, it's so beautiful, but then it's like, you know. Maybe I think that's how they operate. They like smile in your face and then stab you in the back. So, nonetheless, all that to say that, um, yeah, those are one of those other strange stories that I know seem a little inappropriate. I don't know if it seemed so inappropriate. It seemed inappropriate at the time when I thought about talking about it. I tried to do my best to polish it up in light of the word, but I feel like it checked out. And yeah, it seems a little just inappropriate that but it happened. Like it was wrong too. That part, not just inappropriate, but some people might view it as wrong, but I didn't feel wrong about it. I just didn't want other people to see me. I knew they just probably people that shall see me like, oh, you're an evil man, you're unrighteous. All right, that's how you want to see it. We all make mistakes. If there was a mistake there, I really was just trying to do my best to do what I felt was like projecting the desire of Yahuwah and projecting a parabolic picture of the rain. I thought it was an honor. So if I messed up, it was in my ignorance. I know not what I do. but I felt it was right, and I still feel the right part, the picture outweighed the mistake. I'm sure maybe I shouldn't have, but I feel like it was like, well, if he's going to, I'm gonna put it on this day. I'm gonna use it for tool to project something, so it outweighs the bad. So I don't see the bad. I don't smell that. I smell the picture, and I want him to see. I want, I'm gonna make. I mean, and that's gonna bring him joy. He's gonna watch. He's gonna care more about that than that. Like, he's not fleshy like that. And I'm not. I was just trying to see his picture and everything, and that's what happened. And that's where I'm at with it. I just see Yahuwah and everything, and I see his ways and how he's showing me how it's gonna be, and I think that's cool that he shows me like that, you know. And so all that to say that that was last year's Tabernacles on day 5, and when I'm starting to notice, he brings around women ever since then. Not he, but something is allowing women like to manifest or something like that. Family vibes. It can be different things, but around the feast days. So I think it's a double-edged sword. It's like, hey, I'm bringing company to accompany you, but it's up to you to be on your best behavior. You got to show them like there's a double-edged sword that like the enemy's like maybe even like yeah like inside out. They occupy a vessel. They got an angel and a demon in them, and it's like my job to operate with them in light of the truth. But then they're still gonna you know try to snare me up by the way they're projected, like the way they're dressed provocative, or make certain like little passes and see if I respond to them. Like there's gonna be moments where the devil in them gets to make a little pass, and then I just have to keep it kadash, keep it clean, and just like nope, and then the enemy will flee out of that situation, and it'll be more like a malak. And that's what's happened these past feasts. Every feast there's always been like another like a woman scenario where they haven't all been like that like stumbling blocks because so like after that what would it be Passover Pesach. So I found this assembly that celebrated the same dates. Y'all seen those if you've been keeping up. So I went over there and made them let them bread in the home, and I reached out to the assembly to see if I can go, and they said they're gonna try to contact someone who can give me a ride. And an elder man was able to give me a ride there. He picked me up, and at the assembly, you know, I met a lot of sisters were just like very very welcoming, and a couple in particular is an elder sister. She was very sweet and very like, you know, she engaged a lot with me. She interacted a lot with me, so that was cool. But it was that double edged sword, certain little moments that were like, um, I'm gonna just pretend I didn't see that. And then yeah, so this other particular sister, quote unquote, I don't know, but this is where I start realizing you can run into the same spirit manifesting through different people. And I used to talk about it all the time, but I never seen it to this extreme. Like that song that says, "Every other city we go." This is a worldly song. It says that every other city we go, every city we go, we see the same um pros O's, HOs. We see the same, whores. We see the same women, basically. Every city we go, and I know what I can just discern, like, you get that raw discernment, like they're speaking in tongues and you're understanding tongues. Like, they're not talking about they see literally the same one or they're seeing the same type of woman. I feel like they meant on a spiritual level, like they go and they meet the same spirit that was just in these women they're hanging out with in this city is the exact same spirit in these women that they're running into in this new city. Like the spirit is so specific, like it has a specific personality, a laugh, a look, and it's like almost like they're picking up this where you left off the conversation at the last spot. Like it's almost like it's them like in another form. That's how real it is. That's how you really want to see it. Like you're the same person, just a little altered, like an alternate universe reality version of you, or you're just jumping through a different skin suit with some of the same features. And So in this one, it was Pasach, and I met this mom there. She was a single mom, and she seemed like very like uh, a very firm mom, a very like wound up tight kind of mom. Nothing wrong with that, but she's just very like structured, you could say. But she had a certain way that was very familiar, very recognizable, and um, it seemed very closely related. Like it was, I know it was the exact same spirit as somebody that I had recently just, you know, known and got out of a relationship with. I was freaking out. I was like, how are you the same person in a different body? Like I almost wanted to say, like, is it you? And I thought if I did, she might laugh and be like, ha ha ha, like to say it was. I was actually expecting the spirit to say, yeah, of course you are. Like, what do you think? Like, no. So I'm like, I'd rather not ask, but because it was the personality exactly the same behavior, same mannerisms, same way projected towards me, same way automatic. So I know it's the same familiar spirit. It lets me know if I were to try to reconcile things that its spirit is just firm. It's just how do you say, already fixed in its ways where it's made up its mind about me, and it's just part of the tactics. It's just not the way they are really kind of like judging you or nothing. It's the way the spirit operates. It's programmed to make you feel that way, to like try to like make you feel low by judging you and seeing these things that make you feel like you're being judged, or like they see you like as a bad person and whatnot, and they don't trust you, and they try to stir you up because this spirit did not hold back, saying the exact same things. And that came out like, brother, I met this woman. She was nice. She gave me a ride. They're always very nice. They always want to like go above and beyond and do everything for you, But like the word says, do things without complaining or go the extra mile. Like if you're doing that, do it from a place of love, not do it because you feel like you have to, like you're trying to earn something, earn favor with Yah, or you know what I mean. But then you have a bad attitude about it. Nonetheless, I went. Pesach. It took me back, and I think they picked me up the next day. But something happened that triggered the person, and they're just like, the world doesn't revolve around you. I shouldn't have to be picking you up and this and that. I'm like, I never asked you to. You offered. Why are you being so mean all of a sudden? I barely met you. I don't even know you. I only know you a couple of days, but I'm like, but I already know. I recognize like I know your spirit. We already have history, so it's not. I'm not surprised. It's like we're picking up where we left off. Like nothing's changed. You know, still same thing, and it's just the way the spirit likes to operate. It likes to like demasculate and bring you down and do things and turn it against you. Do things for you and turn it against you. And it's the craziest thing, but it's like every city I go, see the same spirit, spirits. But that was one of them. Okay, fine. Pesach happened. I just didn't allow that to ruin Pesach. There's always something like that now in the feast. Because the enemy knows that when these feasts happen, it lets me know something. Yahuwah does show up. Like he's coming to party with you. And ding, 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 ding. And when it's party, and when Yahuwah's partying with you, he's going to supercharge you too. Like his presence is going to charge you up. You're going to get some insight. You're just going to get some strength, some newfound strength. Eagles wings. You'll be renewed like the eagle. You'll be on a second wind of a Ruach narrow gate, narrow path, high walk. We can keep going, keep enduring. It strengthens you to keep pushing. And so that's what I notice I get out of the feast, the Muad'Dim. And so I got that at Pesach, but it's always like you got to be able to dodge the bullets, like the little trials in the mist, because they know you're going to get filled and recharged. So they're going to try to ruin it. And if you're like in a state of bitterness or you're upset, this and that, and you're in an emotional state, you're not in Yah, then Yah can't feel you because you're not where you need to be here. Here and here to receive in your mind and in your love, to receive what He's trying to pour into you. Because when you give into that negativity, you're like in a dark negative realm, even if you're celebrating a feast and you're present with entities that represent Him, Malakim, Shamayim, Him in the flesh or something. But if your mind's dwelling on something, it's like your mind is where you're dwelling. You're in that negative place, so he really can't feel you because he wants to feel your consciousness, your inner being. So you have to get back and abide, be at peace, love, and joy. Focus on him, and whom he just fills you with some new substance, new strength. So that's why they always try to mess it up. And so Pesach happened. We did unleavened bread. That was cool. Did it all, and we did kind of the seven Shabbatot. Made it to Shabuaut. Did that, and everything was cool. It was chilling, and so we're waiting for trumpets. So the craziest thing happened. Trumpets was what, a few days ago. Yesterday for me, actually yesterday. And so but I was getting ready a couple days before, just when it went to conjunction. So the Shabbat before trumpets, the weekly Shabbat, this past Friday. Um, it's almost been a week now. It's tomorrow, so a week from tomorrow. Since tomorrow, yeah, from tomorrow. So it happened last prep yom. I just put it that way. From tomorrow, last prep yom. Um, I decided to go to Black's Beach and take some time for me, myself, and Yah to get some sun. And how do I say this? So um, I don't know how or what triggered it, but all of a sudden my past started stirring up. I started thinking about, I don't know if I talked about it before because I talked about it maybe a little bit. I just started going back and reflecting on, you know, my past, like my ex-wife, how that went, um, my boy, my bond, Ruben, Raul Bond, but then the woman that I had the affair with, the Russian, and for some reason something would always like get me where I'm kind of just like curious, wondering what's going on with her. Like, I don't know why, but I was like, I just wonder if she's okay because I know my family's okay, but I don't know why hers specifically. She just kept coming to my mind, and I was just like, stop. I guess because I remember where she used to live, and it's so close, and I can go by and check and just see if she's still around there or something anytime. But like nah, I just gotta let that go. Like, why am I even thinking about that? And so maybe it was the enemy interjecting the intrusive thoughts before uh, Yom Tarua. Maybe that was it. That's probably it. But nonetheless, it was just like a few days leading, like up to Shabbat. Last Shabbat. She was on my mind, and the weirdest thing happened. And it's not that weird because I tell you, AI, 5G, demonic technology, Vicky, iRobot, Satan, they're all connected. So they start mocking me by as I'm going through my feed. I don't get feeds probably like what y'all get. I remember what feeds I used to get scrolling through the feeds, my wall. I used to get stuff like y'all stuff. Like I used to see y'all's post. I used to see y'all posting. I used to see y'all's page. Um, I used to see the stuff that y'all would share, and I would look at all y'all stuff. I don't see none of y'all stuff, and I think it's because Vicky, iRobot, AI technology, Satan, and AI, becoming one, is really trying to do everything possible to make me stumble. And so my algorithms look like it's not even algorithms because I'm thinking, they just know what potential might make me stumble. I mean, I'm human. But yeah, my feed looks like, I can't even describe it. It's the weirdest things you'll ever see. They'll try to catch your attention. Like if you're already watching little conspiracy things, little side things, little earthly vain things, funny little videos, they already got you. Sorry. That's just the truth. I say that with love. I say that truthfully. Otherwise, how else would you even have any potential to wake up to your fullest potential? Because when you're just trying to keep the commandments, Torah, and you're just always focused on Yahuwah Yahusha, that's all you're thinking about. Is that a hair? Yeah. And you're just focused, completely locked in to Yahuwah Yahusha, right? When you're completely locked into Yahuwah Yahusha and His Word, then and that's all you're meditating on. That's all you're thinking about, and everything they're throwing at you, you give zero charge to. You don't even flinch. Then they got to bring out the big guns, and they bring out some weird things that make you like, "What's that? Like what?" But then it gets weird, and then they're like, "What the? Like what am I looking at?" And then it's like, and then so they always gotta have naked women bending over. They always got weird things that flip the script when you click on it, it gets weirder, and then it's like it's mocking you. And so I've never seen hardly anything about Yahuwah Yahusha. It's just for me, like literally all this demonic projection coming out. But I know there's mashpaka out there, and there's people out there that exist. Imagine doing it through the filter of all this junk that's around you, but you're like still pressing forward, sharing what you share, and the word that you share, just like cutting parting the seas, walking on water and stuff, walking in the fire. That's walking in the fire for me. I don't know if that's the kind of algorithms y'all have. Y'all probably like, oh, hey, brother, hey, sisters, just seeing each other. Oh, I like your post. Oh, I like your video. And then, oh, like something cool and funny and whatever. It's like, not me. I'm getting attacked. Like, because I'm just keeping myself directly connected. Not saying you're not, but I understand why. I just. So, all that to say that what came up on my feed, like I just said, I was just thinking about the Russian, not mine, but the Russian woman that I had an affair with years ago, when I lost my wife, my ex-wife, and like I say, they use 5G technology, is a cosmic technology that can see your thoughts, so they'll market to you what you're thinking, and to try to get you more interested into it, so you pay more attention, more energy, and give off that energy. Nonetheless, they came up on my feed was a bunch of these AI. It was straight up AI women. I think one was a real one, but all of them that looked like the Russian woman that I had been with, as I imagined her, and they were mocking me because some of those AI, were doing her little mannerisms, her behaviors, or she had some signature. She had a lot of little signature gestures, little things that I've only seen her do. No one else does. And yet these AI images were doing those things. So I knew they were. I mean, I not because of that. They were definitely mocking me with that. I knew that just showed me how advanced they could do it. It's like they saw who I was thinking about, and they knew they can feel like how we feel it. They can do it and teleport to them because they're doing it. It's like demons found a way to create how they operate, but on Earth. You know how demons. You can imagine spirits and cosmic entities just teleport wherever. So imagine being able to teleport wherever according to thoughts, like seeing everybody's thoughts and feelings and being able to teleport and grabbing it for them, kind of stuff, like everything that easy, but doing it through technology. So they can see clearly what I'm thinking about. They know who that is. And I feel like in order to get an AI, it's like they had to go to her and like some AI nano biotech thing that views her, scans her, and it just like automatically pulls her personality traits, like what she's like, and like the AI just like picks them up. It just knows how to mimic them automatically after that, like their gestures, and then boom, creates a little AI version of them on your phone, sends it back, to your phone, and then bam, there she was. It was just like a made up page that just got made, and it was all her, mostly like at least five or six of them were like different AI versions of her, like a young version of her. Like what? So it was pretty interesting. And I've even seen some of natural flesh and blood models. Like Beyonce talks about she's got a spirit named this or that. I don't even want to say names of those spirits that inspire them. Well, I've seen models that have a few different spirits in them. They'll have like their own little, um, little page or whatever where they have reels, and like some of them they kind of look different than other ones, like the way they look facially, like their cheekbones might be a little higher, or their eyes might be more sucked in, or their cheeks might be more bubbly in other ones, and they're even operating a certain different spirit. They smile different in this one than that one, and they both match the way the face is with the way they act on all the videos. Like they don't ever cross those lines because different spirits coming out through them. And so I've seen a handful of videos of a particular model that I would watch only because it was interesting to notice the gestures. Why did I say I didn't see his gestures? Asking about AI, like they can mimic it. But yeah, this model, okay, this one was the only one that I seen that I noticed those subtle gestures, and so I checked out her videos, and yeah, all the videos that she did that had those same subtle gestures would always have some kind of reference in the scene that was a reference to me and the the Russian, the one I had an affair with, to let me know that it's that same spirit in only this model that was in the Russian. It's the same spirit that I was engaging with in the Russian that's also in the model. And I don't even know if the model has a clue. Well, it's transrealm. It's transrealm understanding is what I'm learning. It's like in the natural realm, it's just them and they're being inspired and they don't know better. And then in the spiritual realm, cosmic realm, you gotta look like it's fully that spirit taking over that person, and it's them just using them to do that. And so they're completely aware in that sense, that spirit. But in the natural, they don't know why they chose to wear that shirt or wear that outfit or do it that way. I don't want to get too into details at this point, but certain like sceneries they picked and how they did it were references to what we did, and then the gestures and all that was like to mock, and then and not necessarily mock in a bad way, but it's like to try to pull me in, like the spirit was trying to say, hey, I don't necessarily have to be exactly that same person for you to have that relationship. Like I can be in anybody you want me to be, or not necessarily anybody, but especially that type of person that especially in emanates her or reflects her, because they're they're pretty clever, they're sophisticated. This spirit would always, at least for me, yoke with people that actually look like her too. They look like her. They're about her had her like same build up, her build, her physique, and then they would project her gestures and things that reference places we've been and what we did, and in ways that were like with the gesture, like it was like there's no way. It's very too on point, too specific. So that was happening also these past couple months with the model. Like I would notice that, and I'm like, oh man, I can't get into that. Like those are some of those things I struggled with because of that. I was trying to figure it out. Like, can you see me? We've all been going through this as much, but God, like, can they see us through the camera, even through the recording? Is it like, even though it's a recording, but one version of the reality, it's like playing live, and so like it kind of changes a little bit, like an alternate universe way. I believe there's some truth to that too. Sort of like, like when you see like like Wreck-It Ralph, right? Like, oh, Wreck-It Ralph. It's like places everyone like, and then they go and play the same intro. They do the intro, so it's like you're just seeing it being like hitting play. They're just hitting play till it's already been programmed. But it's like in the version of those characters, they're actually going out and putting on the show live. The act and whatnot, and the storylines and the races and whatnot. It's not just a program. So there's a reality like that. You know, I know it sounds crazy, but as I say, reality is crazier than fiction. It's stranger than fiction. Because I look at these videos I've seen before, and then I'll do something to put my energy at it to like interact with it, and then the video sometimes glitches and it becomes like a live version. Like maybe I just jumped my consciousness into an alternate universe reality where it's a version of that, but now it's actually a little bit more live, and they'll do something to respond back or something that's different in the video. I promise you, that's been things I've been experiencing. So that's what I've been doing too, is like testing it like that. Like what the heck's going on? I don't freak out about it because I know the Yahoo ain't gonna let you go through that unless you know what you're doing. Like I'm a scientist with this. I'm like experimenting. I'm observing. I'm wanting to know. So this is how he lets me. But I know it's all rooted at yeah. It's all rooted at the dynamic between good and evil, Yahuwah, Yahusha, and the enemy, and these are those things in between. This is the gray, between light and darkness, and all the stuff that's going on between in the midst of it. And so the pipeline, as the song came on, I posted it. The Pink Floyd one, the I don't even know the song that well, but my bond, SON, but welcome, welcome to the machine and the pipeline. Even I know where you've been. You've been places. They've been in the pipeline. That I'm like, man, it's like they knew. It's like that was about me. Like I get that from this perception, from this reality. All right. So nonetheless, that's what I was experiencing in the past. If I'm gonna be honest, like several months with the off and on with the model thing, because something new pops up and I'm like, is that? I'll see other kind of personalities that reflect other people I've been with, and like, and I'm just curious, and but then that's all to take my energy too. That's the right thing I say. Don't give nothing attention, because even though I may not fully, uh, you know, commit sin with it in that way. I do spend time with looking through these things, and I'm giving it energy, I'm giving it attention, and then I can feel myself dry up, like you know, I can feel they weaponize it against me, and I'm like, I need to just stay away. So then they'll try to find other things that you might give into. But nonetheless, this past week was, um, the Russian. Her name is Yulia. I thought of her. I don't know if that was an intrusive thought because they wanted to test. They wanted to show me what they created with her. But nonetheless, it was heavy on my mind. Like not heavy, but she was just come on my mind enough to like I would think about it and like, nah, like can't gotta leave her out of my head. Can't like try to look her up or find her or nothing. And then bam, there she pops up on a reel. And it's an AI version, like doing like really doing. We know the AIs can pinpoint the moves really well. They like don't miss a beat on things. They like really do it too well. And so I was like, what? And I'm like, okay, nah, I let it go. I let it go. And then I didn't look at it no more. I just briefly, when I saw the AI versions of her, you know, before Shabbat, like or before Prep Yom, that one I nipped in the butt. I didn't even give it much time. I just kind of glanced through them a little, like noticed it, and I was like, nah, like that's too much. Like seeing them and manifest to people is one thing, but something feels a little darker about doing it with the AI. I think the AI is like raw evil energy. You're giving energy. It's like a very strong power thing. I don't know. That's what I discern. So I don't like looking at AI things. Um, but nonetheless, Prep Yom comes Friday, and so I decided to go to Black's Beach for that. I never done that before. It's been on my mind. Like I'm gonna go Black's Beach for Prep Yom one day before Shabbat and kind of get a little pre-rest, and then go home, go back and Shabbat Shalom rest and really rest nice, had some sun, ready to knock out. And so when I went to Black's Beach. It's a nude beach. So I got my birthday suit, my born suit, and just kind of chilled. And sometimes I go for a little walk. I got in the water, got out, read some scripture. I just had to put some coconut oil, it's healthy for the skin, and get the all around tan, no tan lines. And then yeah, I decided to go to Black or for a walk. I went for a little walk down the beach, and I saw this woman, and she was rubbing like mud on her, and I was like, she was in my path. I didn't even see her originally. I was just walking, looking at the ocean, and then boom, she was just there. And like, how ironic! It's one of those things. And she was rubbing mud on her. Cool, little icebreaker. I do like to engage. I'm a social butterfly. If I can share the word, cool. But I was just like, "What you rubbing on there? What's that?" And she's like, "Oh, it's mud." She was nice, you know. She's like, "Yeah, I got it from the rocks. Special kind of clay that it like kills dead skin, makes you shiny and everything." Like, all right, and right on, you know. And went back to my spot. Decided to go for another walk, and there she was, and I saw her laying there. You know, she had already taken the mud, washed the mud off. She was just naked and shining. And when I saw her, I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute." Um, it was a specific body type, specific features in a certain way. You know when you know somebody, especially if it's dope too in a dope sense. I'm like, this looks like Yulia's body, the Russian, like her kind of type, body type. And I walked up to her and I'm like, what I tell her? I said, "Oh yeah, it looks like that clay really worked out. It's shining." And she just laughed and then she was like, "Sit down." She's like, "Have a seat." And the way she said that too was like, she was like, that's how she would say it, the Russian. So it's like immediately she invited me. So it's like all of a sudden I felt that familiar spirit, like I knew her, like I recognized the body. It's like I don't even think her body was even like that the first time I went by her because I didn't see it like that. And then the second time, I mean, yeah, she had mud, but still, you know, you would notice some certain features, but it's just different. And so I don't know if like this spirit came in after that, and also she was a little bit different, and it kind of like takes shape and form and manipulates their features and whatnot. But now she's even talking like her, like she had like all of a sudden a Russian accent, and I didn't catch her having an accent the first time. So I'm like, what's going on? Maybe she did, but again, the spirit, you know, adds a little bit more to really manifest when it wants to, and uses people that are familiar and same kind of mind that they can yoke well with, that they like to be like yoke with like that to express themselves. It's really these spirits expressing themselves. And so I was just like, where are you from? You sound Russian, you know? She's like, nope. And I'm like, German. She's like, nope. And I guessed all that I could guess. You know, I didn't have too many, but I was like, Turkey. I was saying all kinds of stuff. I'm like, yeah, like, your accent sounds Russian. I know this accent, you know? She's like, I know I get it all the time. I'm not Russian. And I was like, you gotta give me like a region. And yeah, we had a nice little conversation. We're already like laughing, getting along, and that's just how me and her got along. I always tell the testimony story how we got along. Like our kids were playing at the school, and they're kind of like fighting over the swings. Like, hey, take turns. And then she came up, what's going on? And we just hit it off and started laughing, and that's how we hit it off. And she was just very fun to be with, like that, like interacting. And I know the concept of the enemy, angel light, give you what you want, like the fantasy and all that, like too good to be true. And it was. She was very just like um, giving of her energy, of her time, of herself, of just I could tell she was really enjoying hanging out with me. And because when I thought to go, she's like, hold on, stay, Just a couple times. She was like, when I thought to leave, it's like she read my mind. She's like, oh, did you know about that? Like, she would try to get my attention, like, to, like, don't leave. I was like, what the heck? All right. And so, all that to say, like, oh, she ended up finally saying, I was like, where are you from? And then she's like, I'm from far, far away. She's like, I'm from very far away. And I'm like, ah. And at first I was joking. I didn't catch myself. I'm like, you're like from another far galaxy. You're like from a far galaxy, from like another world. Da da da. And she's laughing, but then she kind of had like this look, like, oh shoot, like, and I'm like, oh shoot, maybe. I'm like, could she be a malak, or I don't know. She don't seem like a believer. She seemed more like a demon in the flesh. Kind of seemed like the familiar spirit of the Russian woman, and this woman, I can feel it. And so I would say certain things to kind of trigger like a response, and she would respond to it. Like I would test her to see if she could hear me telepathically, and like we would talk. But then when I say something in my mind, she would respond to it like, "Yeah," you know. I'm like, "Man, this is crazy." And then I was like, "Yeah, maybe we can hang out after this sometime. Just be friends or whatever. But that'd be cool." See, like, just have that and keep it like that. And she's like, okay, I tell you what, if you can keep up with me in the water, then I'll take you out. Like, you can hang out with me. And I'm like, all right. And she's like, but I'm only in town till Sunday or whatever. I'm like, oh, I keep the Shabbat, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to see you. And oh, something just clicked. I get back to that because I didn't get her number, nothing to see her till Sunday. But yeah, anyways, she told me to go out with her in the water and to the deep and keep up. And I can feel it, man. Ones and zeros in the ruach. I'm like, man, this woman is like, so. The Russian was her sign. I'm not into that, but there's a spiritual thing to it though. She was an Aquarius, and I feel like they are connected to the water. That's their thing. That's their spiritual connection, where they connect to those entities. Then they are connected to the ocean, and she had that similar spirit, and I can feel her connected, like, somewhat to the ocean. Like, she was like a spirit of the ocean, maybe a fallen messenger of the ocean, but she was swimming, like it was like she became a mermaid. Like, she just was flying, and then, like, popping up, like, where you at? Are you tired yet? Like, she was playing with me just right, like something out of a movie. And like, I'm coming, and the entire time I was thinking in my head subconsciously, trying not to have those scary, intrusive thoughts. Like, man, this woman is a siren, a demon, mermaid, and she's about to take you to the deep and eat you or swallow you, or not eat me, but she's gonna pull you in, a shark's gonna take you. And but she was going deep, and like, her timing was just right with all the waves. Like, just when she swam through, a big wave would come, and she was flying in it, disappearing in it. I'm like, what? And I was going down under it. I was like, shoot. And she's like, you're not tired yet? I'm like, no. She's like, okay, come on. And so I just kept on following her, swimming. And I finally got the rhythm of swimming again, because I didn't realize how bad I had lost that, like, not knowing how to swim properly, because, I just wasn't practicing it. And but I got it back. And now here's another witness, because that's the same thing the Russian did to me too. When we were having our time together, when, you know, I don't want to say the affair after, I got divorced with my ex. We'd go to Black's Beach, and she'd want to, the Russian woman would want me to swim deep in the water with her. And I'm like, I don't like going deep. I'm scared. She's like, what? And like, yeah, I get paranoid, like a shark's gonna jump out of nowhere and eat me or something like that. And she laughs. She's like, Raul, I'm sorry, but you need to be a man. If you're gonna be my man, you need to be brave and be able to swim all the way in the deep with me. And bam, here's this other foreign woman saying the exact same thing as her. So I knew this was the same spirit of Russian. I'm not gonna say her name just because I don't want it thrown out there too much like that. But yeah, it was her. Those same spirit in the flesh, another flesh that had same body, same features, and yeah, she was doing the exact same things about like you need to be brave, come on. And then she brought up the shark thing. She's like, because I don't want to say, I was like, I got to redo it over without saying, I don't want to go. Like, it's like, all right, cool, let's go. I was just like manning up, remembering. I was thinking about the Russian. I got scared the first time with her, and so I don't want to do that with this one. And then she brought up, she's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just, I've never been this deep before, but I'm just nervous. She's like, well, you scared that a shark is gonna come get you? I'm like, yeah, don't say it. And like, don't say shark. They might hear you calling their name, and then they're gonna come. And yeah, we got far deep in there where like the waves stopped. Like she's like, oh yeah, there's a certain point like you go so far deep that there's no more waves, it's just the ocean. And like, yeah, I don't know. Like, she's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm fine. Like, well, I can do this. Like, I'm chilling. She's like, okay, let's go back. And like, all right, well, you owe me. I came out all the way here with you, so I guess that's what I told her. Like, if I come all the way out here with you, and we're gonna hang out. But it's whatever. I was just playing it by ear. I'm just like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I'm gonna ultimately do the desire of Yahuwah. And he's got those gray areas. He leaves room. So, stories of the soldiers in the battlefield. So then I go back, and one thing she told me too was like, all right, and also if we go in the ocean, you can't touch me. And I was just like, I wanted to say, what if I get scared about it? I wanted to be like, all right. And I'm like, but if you touch me, then I'm gonna take that as a sign that I can go ahead and touch you back, you know. And she's like, if I'm touching you, it's because I'm beating you. Like, okay, but yeah, I didn't touch or nothing out there. But on the way back, we got back to where the waves were, and we started hanging out there a little bit. We did kind of like bump into each other a little, and I completely forgot about that because at one point she kind of kicked me, and sometimes I miss my cues, but that would have been my cue to be like, "Oh, you touched me. That means I have now the contract's broken. I get to touch you. I get to get all over you." And I would have had I remembered. I said that, but I was just like, "Oh shoot." That's always been that way. I've always missed. But I think that's from Yahuwah. He's always protected me from being smooth and witty in those moments, so I don't give in because I would have not wanted to anyways. I like for the sake of saying it maybe, but I might have regretted it if something did because I'm in my celibate oath, so that's why I'm putting this in order like that. I'm like the entire time, subconsciously I'm thinking I'm not gonna do nothing. Yeah, you already know I'm honoring you. I think she heard that once I was firm in my mind. She's like, let's get out of here. Like screw this. Like she was trying to part of what spirits do too, like they can love you or want or like really like you, like really be into you like that, but they can still be into wanting to destroy you. Like they just are crazy like that. Like they can be into you but still have their job to want to kill you like at the same time. Like sorry I have to kill you. You're amazing, but now I have to let you go. All that crazy stuff. That's spirits. And so I think part of what they always try to do with me is like make it look like it's on me, like I'm the one messing up. And there's moments now, like I picked up the cues when they're actually tattling on me, like because there'll be times when I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm ready to just be straight. I'm not gonna look to the right or the left, and there'll be women doing all this stuff, and I'm not even looking, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just, but then all of a sudden they're like, oh, excuse me, and then they're like, there's something I just kind of want to look and check out, and as soon as I look there'll be like someone else that takes out a camera and just starts taking selfies or pictures, but it's sort of like subliminal, like oh we see you, like look, like but it's really like a manifestation that they're telling you, like look, yeah, look, you see this, like he's over here starting to check out. So that's kind of what they always do is like they always try to make it like look like it's you, like crying wolf, like, please, like, or they know you're not allowed to touch them, and then it's like they'll bend over and do all this stuff, and then it's like, and then once you like just like they're like, oh, look what he did, but they're like shaking everything in front of you, like tempting you, you know. So it's like that's how they snare you up. So I learned how to dodge those, like. So that what ends up happening is they end up playing with me all day. They're doing all the work. They're giving it all up, and I'm looking like I'm, you know, all into it, playing like I'm just playing along. Basically, I'm playing along back. I'm not giving them any emotional charge. I'm not getting all, you know, like I'm not a sucker like that no more, you know. But I can like play along back, and for the sake of the theatrics, not even get out of my system. I'm just going, all right, fine, play your game. Like I'm just at the root, the definition of playing along. Like, all right, I play your game, and I'm not falling for it, you know. So it's pretty cool to have that built up in me now, and it kind of makes it interesting because they try all kinds of new things, and they always try to get me to stumble though. And I think they enjoy it too, but yet the motive remains the same. They're trying to get me to give in some kind of way to point the finger at me to lose Baraka. It's like in the back office, there's like for every time he gets an emotional attachment, he's gonna lose a certain point that goes towards this, this, and this. But as long as he stays above this, he's still gonna get the bike or the new shoes or the this or the house or whatever it is. There's always like a reward. There's like a game show version of all this in the back office of like you won a new car, a free bus ride. Like you can ask the bus drivers anything for up to 10 rides this month, and they shall all let you ride. And the idea is so as long as like it's things you need to get on the bus to do, praiseworthy, because it's like it's not even the fine print. It's just like part of common sense. It's like, oh, well, you got to use your 10 rides, but three of those were actually for going to, you know, check out the like look for see if like for example if the woman's still there, like check out this chick or go for some main thing or something, you know. Like I don't struggle with drugs, but using that like, oh, you went to like see if you're like some drug dude was there they used to know. You took the bus, you know, you got on the bus and asked the driver to let you on for free, and he gave you a free ride, and he wasted on that. It's like now Ya's like, you know, he's gonna wipe out a big reward. Like now you're not, you know, like gonna get this, you know, like you're gonna get this, but now you're not, you know, just because of that, like, you know. So you gotta do everything honorable. It is like that. And so, because I see that measure, I always see the consequences of my actions manifesting in the rewards, and not even just actions, consequences of state of mind and rewards of state of mind or state of being. And your nafas, your focus, your meditation on where it's at, it gives you consequences. You lose things or gain, get rewards, or you know, just stay in peace or whatever. Things stay sustained. So it's pretty cool. And so, nonetheless, all that to say that in the end with her, I'm like, this is crazy. It's like just before Shabbat, it's prep yom, and I just had some time with the Russian, the real Russian. It was the actual spirit of the Russian, same spirit, same. She was into me the same way. Like we had that connection, and because even when I left back to my spot, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go back to my spot now. I start putting my stuff up. She saw from a distance, and so she started putting her stuff up in a certain way to time it so that by the time she was passing me up, I was done putting my stuff up, and then we like would meet up at the stairs. You know, the stairs we walk up. So we ended up meeting at like well, I ended up walking up there and meeting her up there, and she's like, "How did I know I was gonna meet you up here?" And I was like, you know, you know, theatrics. But she was still cool with me. She was still nice. She still wanted to hang out and talk, and so we hung out and like talked like because they got a little like a little bar thing or something like at the top of the thing, little shack, and little snack bar thing, and they got drinks. So I went over with her. She got a drink, and we just talked a little bit, and I let her go. You know, someone's going down, and ironically, like the days that I was with her before, you know, in the other version, when the one that my ex-wife, my boy left me for. But after that, when I was with her, the, there was always beautifully like the best painted like sundowns, and I was like, man, I done messed up, and how am I getting these awesome sundowns and beautiful things? And now I know she's attached to that too, because I that was painted for us, and that was always like that for us. And you can go back on my old account and see those awesome majestic sundowns, and that was when I was with her. And like, so now I'm understanding how they're, like I said before, everybody's a counterpart to some territory, a community. Well, some are higher end spirits that are counterparts of like the ocean, the scenic view, the sundown, and all that. And I think especially when things are going well, they just want to do that. They express it that way, like when they're feeling nice. Because I think sometimes they just like us in the flesh like to want to have a romantic experience too, want to just like live out some stuff. It's not that they're necessarily just wicked all the time. They want to do those things too, but then they have their moments where they just want to experience, like a romantic theme again. That's Roman, that's antics, that's, you know, it's fake love, it's lust. It's not rooted in yacht. It's more like that, worship each other till we die, Romeo and Juliet, and it's just our story. There's no, they don't like having ya in the middle of it. That's the problem. So looks to sounds to it's what's in the movies. You don't see ya in there. It's just about them. So they like that version of it. But nonetheless, it was cool time. I kept ya on me in the center of it, but nonetheless, the sky was painted all majestically, and I was like, wow. And I told her, I was like, I was speaking to her from that dynamic, and she was already on. She already knew. She was like, mm-hmm. And I said, I was talking to her like it was straight up the Russian. I was like, man, that's crazy. I haven't seen skies that lovely since you from the other version of you in the alternate universe reality, the other version of you. And she's like, mm-hmm. And and I was like, see you around. And I don't know why I said see you around because I wasn't intending on it, but that could be like Yahuwah, 144,000. There's no guile in their mouth. It makes our words come true. So I said, see you around. So I'm going to have to see her now somehow. And, uh, and I thought about that too. Like, man, why I say see you around? Like, I can't be speaking vain words like that. It means I'm expecting to see her. She's expecting me to see her somehow. Like, and I know it's spirit. I know it's spiritual. I know this was real. So I know I'm going to see her again now for sure. And I didn't mean it that way. Forgive me, yeah. But your desire be done, you know. And and at the end, I give credit to Yah for the majestic sky because Yahuwah is the creator. He's the maker of it. Barak Yahuwah, he was in control. So I looked at everything in light of Yahuwah. I was like, at the end of the day, I'm gonna look at it from the version that it was me, Yahuwah, and Yahuwah wanted me to enjoy this nice sundown before Shabbat, before going into trumpets, even through the filter of this testing because he can handle it. He knows he can trust me and he can handle, like, because he's allowed the enemy to have authority over the earth. He's the prince of the air. So Satan can manipulate weather too and stuff like that. He does do things like that too. And so I feel like whoever it came from, I'm just looking at it like it came from Yahuwah. But truth be told, my experience, yeah, that certain way that it was, that sundown was kind of put up there was how it used to be back in the day. And so it kind of was like an imprint, like a signature. But nonetheless, it's all from Yahuwah. They're manipulating his stuff. And so it's like Yahuwah allowing it even for me, but through this, like, hey, I kind of giving up some authority for them to play with it. But just treat it like it's from me, because I would want to do this for you anyways, because he's loving like that, and he can handle that being done that way and give that up and all that he's got, and I can we that's how strong our love is. I'm like filtering through this little game, this little house play, playing along, just still seeing ya in it, you know. And he's like, yeah, that's why I love you. That's why I have a thought. Yeah, I have a thought too. And so, but nonetheless, I see you around, and I said in a way like I knew I would. And so here we go. Just to recap, started thinking about her this past week. She popped up in my algorithms, on AI versions of her on my Facebook reel, on my feed, and then on reels, and then bam, she showed up preppy on at the beach, and obviously she was there naked, yeah, and it was her though. She took me out for a swim, came back, it's cool, and I said, see you around. I didn't know how long that'd be. I thought it'd be forever before I see her again. And so how ironic, she saw me prep Yom before Shabbat, and the next Yom she saw me, guess when? Yom Tarua, Day of Trumpets. When I posted that video and I said a malak from Yahuwah because she was operating like a malak, insisted on video taping me, it was her again. Not the same woman. Now this was a third entity. She was German, had an accent, had the same facial features, structure, the eyes, piercing blue eyes, um, and just a lot of different features, and the way we got along was the same. And I told her, I'm like, yeah, you're this met so and so, and then da da da, and then like I feel like I meet you, the spirit that operates you through different people comes to manifest, and I had just told her or you, don't know how to say this, but see you around, and here you are, and all she did was smile, like it was true, like not even like, dude, you're crazy, weird. And I was like, she smiled like, yeah. I was like, okay, because they don't deny it. They just like, you trust it or what? Like, if you know, you know, you discern it. Like, yeah, I guess. But this version of her was a little different. They, like I said, it's the same spirit, but it comes through different entities, different people. So this one was through somebody that was going through a bad relationship, and she was ready to divorce him. She wanted to, ironically, the one before her at the beach said, why don't you look up the Russian woman? It seems like there really was something there. I said, nah, because she's married. I don't want to ruin anything. I want to open up a book that's already sealed off. And she's like, what if she's divorced? What if she's waiting for you? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And then on some bam, I run into the next one on Yom Tarua, and she's telling me how she wants to divorce him. Like she just got in a fight with her dude, so she hadn't come back all night. She went for a walk, and she was up all night until she heard me blowing the horn, and that's what drew her to come. And I shared with her the word, and she's like, "Can I spend the day with you? I just want to walk with you, and I want to hear you blow your horn, and I just want to enjoy that." And I was like, "Yeah." And ironically, this version of her was different because she was a door-to-door saleswoman. I was like, "What do you do for a living? Like, how do you survive out here?" She's like, I do solar door to door. I'm like, and I say that like, because I'm like, that's what originally my profession was that I did, but I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't a real profession. I think I let people get to me like, oh, that's not a real career. That's just, and I was like, yeah, I guess, like, no one really, it doesn't have the best, you know, thing, but they do well actually. I know what you can make with it. So I don't know why I let that get to me. But nonetheless, yeah, she was living on a nice like a condo kind of thing or something like apartment in downtown, doing door to door self solar. She bought her own wedding ring because she got with the dude, Hispanic dude too. So there's that connection. But he wasn't working, but he had like an alcohol problem. Or he went to the bar. He worked at a bar, but he was kind of struggling with alcohol. And they would have fights, and he would hit her. She was kind of banged up. She had like a kind of busted lip a little bit, and like scratches, and she was afraid to go home because she didn't go back that night. So she felt safe with me. So I just was all right, cool. So she went with me while I blew the shofar, and that's who took the video. It's like she read my mind. Like we're connected because like when I blew it, um, well, she's like, "Can I do one with a picture of you? Like you should do a picture." Like yeah, right. Like I just didn't want to record myself because I said like no filming. I was like, I don't want to. That's kind of weird. But she's like, yeah, yeah, I want to. She's like, you should take pictures. So I'm like, all right. So she took a picture as I was blowing it. But then I thought, like, you know what? I should do a small video. Like, you know what? And she's like, you want to do a video? Like, yeah. She was like finishing my sentences. And so then that's when we did the video too. We walked around, like, yeah, we just walk and talk a little more. Yeah, we'll do a video later somewhere. And then, like, you know what? Let's do it up here. And then that's when we caught that shot up by the Shell theater thing. And, uh, and she was cool, you know. And I walked her back into downtown, still blowing the shofar. And ironically, I walked her back to where her dude works, like the bar that he sometimes works at. And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's where it works." Like, "Oh shoot, my bad, I didn't even know." She's like, "No, no." I think she's taking it as a sign. She's like, "Let me just see if he's here, but if not, just hang out here. I know the coworkers. I'm just." And she's like, "Yeah, maybe I'll see you around or something, you know." Like, right on. So that, and maybe I shall see you around. I don't know. But one thing I promise you will, it won't be like the last time. You know, I'm never gonna let a woman take my love like that again. He's always gonna be center, and I learned to just play along. You know, they want to play along as far as spending time, and I think the spirit. One thing that I really liked before me and Yulia, even the Russian Yulia, before me and Yulia ever really had our affair. For 2 years straight, we were just best friends. We just walked around like that. The walking around thing, me blowing the horn and walking around, was something that Yulia would have done with me back in the day too. She just liked to hang out with me too. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think it's pretty cool that this one has a profession similar, or basically the same profession I used to have. I used to be a door-to-door sales, and I used to be successful. And so she's like, yeah, you know, like find me, and I'll put you on. Maybe you know, like I'll help you out if you want it. So the one at the beach, I didn't get any kind of contact info. I was just like that moment, it was gone. It's done. She said she had to go back to wherever she's from, Europe. But this one, I think she got. I don't know. I don't remember if we exchanged information or not. See, I forget little details like that. But she did tell me how I can find her, so I'll do that for sure. And maybe I'll try to go back to my old profession when I was 18, knocking doors, and it's very lucrative. And maybe that's what you wants, because then I can be independent, self-sufficient, not working for anybody but myself, and making my own hours, so I can be off when I need to for the feast, the Muadim, and for taking my classes. Probably so I don't have to rock no boat in anyone's workplace. Like, oh, I need this day off for the feast and this day. Oh, I got a class I gotta take. And yeah, it's a great motivator. She's cool. She's very motivational, very like cool to hang out with. Someone that lifts me up, you know. Because I was trying to get back into door to door the first time around, but you know, I just didn't feel just wasn't like I just wasn't motivated. I just been depressed. That was my dad was going through stuff, and not to make excuses, but yeah, it was just weighing me down. I did try. I went out there, and I was just, you gotta have a nice attitude. How you doing? And I'm walking out the light. How you doing, sir? Trying to sell solar. How you doing? All depressed. But yeah, she was cool. So when I'm with her, she gets me laughing. She gets me smiling. She gets me out of my staleness. And that makes sense. I was just watching a video about married couples, how women are meant to lift the men up, like the umbrella, hold them up. I'll share it, so you can put two and two together. But nonetheless, just as a friend partnership, they always provided me to have a little friend, little teammate. That's how cool he was. He's like, hey man, you're celibate. I trust you. I'm gonna let you have what you used to have, because originally what I wanted with her was to just be friends. I'm like, I never got to have just a chick friend. I can just be a friend with. And yeah, Yulia was like the longest run I had with that. 2 years of just a female friend that I didn't, engage intimately with. But then we did after 2 years. But yeah, I missed that. Like that was the coolest thing ever. I thought just having like a mutual friendship with somebody and not fornicating, not being sexually active with them felt great. Like having just the best friend. I don't know. It was cool. And so I feel like, yeah, I like really I think he really liked the way I handled that during that time when I was doing it right, and I think he's wanting to give me that opportunity again because I had to make up for it. I had it and I ruined it. He's like, "Can you make it up?" Yeah, a few years left, you know, time to recompense it, get back in and relive that, and this is gonna be, she's gonna be like your recompense because she's gonna be just like her, only you're not gonna mess up. You're celibate now, so it kind of outweighs it because at least before you had someone to go back to, so now it's a little bit more of a challenge, but now you're honoring is for me, the reason you're not. So it's all weighed out favorably to honor Yahuwah, upgrade our offering, recompense, all that, and get to prosper and have a best friend and have that thing where like she may not be a believer fully like that, but that's okay. Actually, she's cool with it. She's like, yeah, like she can handle it. She's not like, oh, please stop talking about the Bible. She's not like that. She's not like, I don't want to hear no more. She's like, she likes hearing about it. She likes seeing me blow it. She just enjoys hanging out with me. She's that's basically her spirit nature. She's like, but you do you and I do me. Like what you like to do personally is you, between you and yeah. I don't mind supporting you and being there and whatever, but just don't expect me to be like you and be all sold out you know. And I get that. That's what people wanted me to be like, being able to have those kind of mutual friendships with people that, you know, you can find common ground like that. You know, I'm not talking about like friend of the world, like where they're just wicked and bad, and then you expect, and you're trying to be friends with them and do what they do. Nah, just there's people that there's middle ground that they're chill. They're not doing nothing weird. They're not witches. They're not into witchcraft. They're not on drugs, and they're just trying to live a successful life. Really, their only thing is just to like they want to live a fulfilled high. That's it. And we know that it is with Yah. And and sometimes it might take them something like this situation for them to see it, to see it in us and how it brings them high. They might need to experience that hanging out with us, and for us to really be Yah like, we have to be able to give them that opportunity. We can't just like, oh, they're not a believer. I'm just gonna write them off. I'm only going so far with them. You know what I mean? Can't be like I'm only going so far with them, and that's it. you know, like if they're cool and y'all can get along and they're not making you feel convicted, like crossing any lines in like a weird spiritual demonic way, then that's worth sticking around, especially if y'all on a you know mutual human level, y'all can just get along as just on a general playing field like as friends. And it's nothing like that, like that's probably what I've been needing. Maybe it was like gave me all these years away, um, you know, from Yulia even to show me all these different types of women because I really didn't know any other women, but my wife really liked that, and she was great. And then just Yulia would just just happened, and we just got on really great, and I thought that was just maybe I thought that was something that was normal just to me. Oh, yeah, there's plenty of other people like that. Nah, I never met no other women, people, even men. Some yeah, there's been a lot of cool dudes, but I like the female interaction counterpart. I like how they get along. I like hanging out with them. I just mold better with the right one, the right female, and not for those reasons. I just there's just certain talks you can have with females too that you can't have with dudes, and just like with females with me, I can talk to them about anything. That's just the way I feel with females, some females, and so yeah, I feel like you always finally give me that opportunity again to be able to have that friendship. Like I'm on, I could cry. Like you trust me like that? Like I can feel like he really might be putting that back in my path. Like you ready to try this again? He's like, yeah, you gotta recompense this, man. You gotta make it up. Like all those works, all those years, all those years, like a lot, like those 2 years of being a good friend, doing all these righteous works was destroyed by the 2 years and some change that you got down. You undid it, so now you got to redo it, and so I can count it towards you because there's a lot of cool. There's a lot of pleasant things that came out of it in a positive note. Like it had me more on a positive moral centered thing without it being worldly. Like maybe that's stuff y'all have, but maybe I didn't have that because I didn't have the right counterpart, like woman, to motivate me. Sometimes that's what a man needs. It's like, you know, there are men like, the thing when they say, oh, like women pick the bad boys because they want to fix them, but 9 times out of 10, those bad boys stay bad. And maybe I've been identified that way too. Sometimes, like, not that I'm bad, but like, oh, he seems like he's very firm in his ways, like he's very melancholy, very kind of just like detached from society. It's like he doesn't like to have fun. He's not gonna be well. Get the right person, and they just open me right up, and then there's just a spring of Maim of a mountain just sitting back there, stored up for the right person to, who can trigger it, and you got that kind of confidence in this for you, and apparently, this woman does. The spirit of Yulia does, but for the right sense to do the works of Yah, to be a little bit more of a positive light shining in the Alats. I think he was just trying to give me a little bit of peace, a little more. I don't know. See how it goes. He's just trying to, yeah, get me to pass that test. Like you're trying to be a Kurashin, you gotta be able to handle, you know, having a chick friend, like just being okay with doing that. Like, how can you be a righteous elect? How can you be a righteous elect and not trust yourself with like having a female friend? It's weird. It's not, or not that's weird. But it's not dope. So I think I gotta retest this, and that's kind of cool because he prepped it. I know it's from because my state of mind and everything is just right to where I'm like, wow, I feel ready for it. Perfect timing, because before like I said, I think when we gave him the decision, the thing that made him say, "All right, we're gonna go ahead and do this," is is when I saw the AI versions of her, and I just like, nah, because those AI versions of her were hitting certain cues of her that I really treasured in the flesh, in a sense, or even in my lot that I thought were precious to me. It was not just fleshy, but and they were doing that, and I could have been like, "Oh yeah, this is nice," but I was like, "Nah," and I think yeah, I was like, you know what? I think we can retest him on this and get back what he lost and pick up where he left off in the right sense. It's gonna take a little work, but you'll figure it out and see it's coming more to high because I met her once at the beach, then again, and each time it wasn't like it really wasn't like when you confront like a demonic spirit entity where scripture says that Yahuwah enricheth the man and addeth no sorrow to it. In other words, when it's from the enemy, there'll be a bad side effect. Like you did something, and all of a sudden, like, oh, now you're out of gas because you went or you spent extra funds because you didn't want, or you went somewhere and now you got caught up because you went with that person there, and they got you in trouble or something like that, But you really want to be no Yahuwah, uh, Yahuwah uh, enricheth the man and added no sorrow to it, no bad side effect. So with both of them, it was like no bad side effect. They didn't do anything to necessarily like cause me to stumble to make me feel like they were trying to, get me to stumble. So I thought that was cool. And I mean, look at the second one, especially from Yom Tarua. She just wanted to hang out and walk with me and accompany me while I blow the shofar. So she was kind of making me look nice. Like everybody was checking me out. Like, look at this dude with this pretty girl. She was pretty, and she was on a little like a little dress, a little skirt. She looked pretty. She was, you know. And so everybody's like, all right, like the knob there, the watchman right there got himself a date. He got himself a Yom Tarua date. Yahuwah provides. Yahuwah provided a Yom Tarua date. Had a date for Yom Teruah. And it was cool as I kept it centered about, yeah, like Yahusha, Yom Teruah. Like, yeah, I made time to talk with her. I gave her, and maybe that's what Yahuwah wanted to finally work out on me was the balance, because I liked balance back then, before I was too trying to